19. Authority and life. Psalm 1 is too little appreciated in our antinomian age. Not only does it give us the temper of all the Psalms, but it sets forth a fundamental fact, namely, that submission to God's authority means life, while rejection of God and His law means death. How serious our predicament is can be seen in the fact that some commentators have held that this psalm gives us a, quote, distorted statement of the nature of true happiness. Because the psalm praises the study of God's law, others have seen the temper of the psalm as supposedly alien to Christianity. Wright saw this psalm as anticipating millennial conditions, a pen picture of the ideal man of the theocracy. Dewey Morgan wrote eloquently about Psalm 1 as one in which the distant poles of God and man merge into a splendid orb, and man becomes one with his Creator. Morgan does not mention the law at all, of which the psalm speaks plainly. Men like J. A. Alexander and C. H. Spurgeon have approached Psalm 1 with more wisdom. The psalm has no author listed. Much later, Jeremiah chapter 17 verses 5 to 8 cites this psalm, and the text tells us that this is God's statement. Thus saith the Lord, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. As we compare these words with Psalm 1, it becomes clear that, first, to trust in the Lord is to obey His covenant law. It means that we then believe that God's law is the way of life and blessedness. Second, to delight in the law of the Lord is to delight in life, and to reject God's law is to choose death. Let us read Psalm 1 with this in mind. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. As Kirkpatrick noted at the beginning of the century, divine knowledge cannot be abstract or ineffectual. Our Lord makes clear the essential unity of faith, obedience, and doctrine. He declares in John chapter 7 verses 16 and 17, My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God, or whether I speak of myself. Those who insist on separating faith, works, and knowledge can be compared to a man who beheads another and expects both head and body to live, speak, and work. A godly man is like a tree planted by rivers of water. As Spurgeon noted, this man is compared not to a wild tree, but to a planted one, cultivated and protected as God's property. He is by rivers of water, by an abundant supply. Because the godly man is a planted and nurtured tree, he is God's possession and is under God's authority. He is blessed because he is faithful and obedient to the Lord. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The word planted in verse 3 has the implication of transplanted. The tree whom the Lord chooses is transplanted to his appointed place, which, whatever the problems may occur, is the place of blessing. We have thus an equation. On the one hand, we have the ungodly. They are scornful of God's law and are sinners. Their way shall perish, so that ungodliness and death are acquitted. On the other hand, here and now, not in a future millennium, the godly are blessed. They are productive, and they endure in times of judgment and come forth in victory. Godliness and life are acquitted. Godliness is clearly identified with an obedience to delight in the law of the Lord. On the other hand, the scornful despise all things. As one rabbi commented, "To the man whose soul is rotted with scorn, nothing is sacred." This psalm militates against a powerful tradition and force in the modern era. Creativity, power, freedom, and all things desirable are equated with revolt against God. To be alive means, to the modern temper, to sin and to defy God. During the early 1970s, a university student on drugs stood outside a church service to rail at all as they left. According to him, they were the living dead because they had never, quote, experimented, end quote, sexually to find total liberation in total permissiveness. William Blake, circa 1793, expressed like opinions about the virtues of rebellion against God's law, declaring in The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, "Those who restrain desire, or do so because theirs is weak enough to be restrained, and the restrainer or reason usurps its place and governs the unwilling, and being restrained by it, by degrees becomes passive, till it is only the shadow of desire." Man's desire must take priority over the law of God. Man's will, instead of being seen as fallen and depraved, is seen as good. This fallen will is given authority, and to deny man his will is seen as slavery. In this view, Christianity is the enslavement of man. For man to be free, to realize himself, means setting aside the law of the Lord. Thus, in the modern humanistic faith, the moral equation of Psalm 1 is turned upside down. Ungodliness, rebellion against God, becomes the life-nourishing force, and biblical faith is held to be the way of death. Both humanist manifestos presented that faith as a liberating force. Central to that liberation is, for humanists, the radical denial of God's authority. Thus, the central question with respect to authority is not in the realm of secondary or human powers. The issue is between God and man. This, in Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 to 5, was the issue as the tempter saw it, and also in the temptation of Christ, Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 to 11. The matter is unchanged still. Men have pursued the tempter's concept of authority, of every man as his own God, to disaster and death. In Psalm 1, the alternative God provides is plainly set forth. Only under God's total authority is there life for man.